which is fine. It's like, it's not always a competition, like I said. Like, I'm one of those fans that is very much hey, good for you, man. You're making a name for yourself in this company, and you're doing a great job, and you're pulling your weight, and you've got a good storyline going. It doesn't matter what company you work for. We're happy for you. But I also like to see other companies doing well other than WWE sometimes, you know? So it's like, oh, well, there goes AEW, shot at that. And then they really shot themselves in the foot because of Tony Khan. This is what I was going to be talking about earlier, where Tony Khan just is bad at decision making and should not really be in charge of a wrestling company because of how poor his decision making skills are. That's why wrestling companies are generally owned by wrestlers or managed by wrestlers, because the wrestlers know the industry. They've lived in it long enough. This could be dangerous. It is not dangerous. Okay, we survived just fine. We're good. That scared me for a second. Drug trios can murder. Often. So after Punk's return to WWE, he has an interview with, I don't even know, just some external interview. It's not an internal held by WWE, it's an external one by some actual legitimate company wanting to know his thoughts on things. On why he departed AEW, why he came back to WWE. He came back to WWE because Vince McMahon was no longer a part of it. Vince McMahon was quite honestly the problem with anything that happened in WWE. And much like that, much like Vince was the problem with everything happening in WWE, Tony Khan is everything that's wrong with that's happening in AEW. So Punk is going on his interview talking about how trash the company was. I haven't actually seen the interview myself. I just know that he was bashing the shit out of AEW again. And I know what Tony Khan's response to that was. Tony Khan's response to it, well, I guess I should say here, one thing that Tony did after firing Punk was that Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, was suspended as well. Like, Jungle Boy was Jack Perry was suspended. CM Punk was fired. So they had Jack nowhere on TV for months and months and months. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, you're mad that the altercation with him lost CM Punk for your company, but maybe have a better presence backstage so that these altercations don't happen, because as I'll get to in a minute here, there's video footage and it shows exactly where this argument between Jack and CM Punk was taking place. It's literally right in Gorilla. For those who don't know what that is, it's the area where, I don't even know why it's called Gorilla. I'm not that knowledgeable on it, but it's just before where the wrestlers go out to the audience and everything. It's backstage, right where the executives sit, watching the monitors, monitoring the program and making sure, hey, everything's good. You know, hey, have a good show out there tonight, guys. You know, so they're giving them their wrestlers good luck. You know, wishing them good luck as they're heading out. So Tony Khan is literally sitting right in front of this as it's happening. Maybe intervene. I mean, yeah, hindsight's always 20/20, so you don't have the foresight to be like, oh, hey, this is getting a little heated. Maybe I should step in to prevent a full-out fight from happening. But with wrestlers, you can kind of tell that would be where something's going, and could maybe stop that if you know, were better at your job. Where was I going with that, though? Damn it. Crap. I forgot what that part was about. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, Tony Khan's mad that he basically blames Jack Perry for having the altercation happen that led to CM Punk attacking him and causing Tony Khan to fire Punk. So he just like not showing Jack Perry on television for months on end. And then this interview gets televised, bashing Tony Khan and the company, and Tony's response is, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to show that Punk's a piece of shit. I'm gonna show that Punk's the problem. He's trying to say that our company is like irresponsible and terrible and bad and blah blah blah. Well, I'm gonna show that it's him that's irresponsible and bad and blah blah blah. And so they try to write it into the story, and literally nobody thought it was a good idea. They all told Tony Khan, don't do this, this is a bad idea, there's no good that will come from this. And Tony Khan still decides, no, I'm gonna do this. This is what we're gonna do. Because, it has to do with the Young Bucks. You know, the Young Bucks have this whole thing where, you know, they're the EVPs. And what they did was the last time that they had a match against FTR, the guys who were the champions, the last time they had that match was at the event where CM Punk got suspended for the fight with Jack Perry, or got fired for the fight with Jack Perry. So we're gonna write it into the story that, you know, these two teams are feuding again, and, you know, there should be an asterisk next to FTR's win because the fact that the Young Bucks had to deal with their EVP duties and you know, fire CM Punk because they were distracted by that whole commotion going on backstage. So they had to do their jobs as EVP, so they couldn't focus on preparing for their match. So that's why they lost the match, and so now they're ready to fight, win, and become champions this time. But we have to show that this is why they were distracted last time. And it's like, there's this whole thing of you don't need to show everything. But yes, everybody, including the Young Bucks, said no, this is a bad idea. But Tony Khan is the president, he is the person in charge who makes those final decisions, and so he made that decision. And they had to air the footage of backstage, which was Jack Perry and CM Punk talking it out. And yeah, I mean, there have been so many people who have analyzed it, so many people who have looked at it, so many people who have talked about it. And one person, I think it was like a body language analyst, basically is just going over it and going, yeah, everything that Jack Perry is doing is instigating Punk and irritating Punk. Punk is trying to talk about the whole thing, like he's arguing about the whole thing, but everything that Jack Perry is doing is like negging Punk on, like, come on, fight me, come on, fight me, come on, fight me. And it completely backfired on Tony Khan. Everybody thought this was a terrible idea, and once it aired, it's like nothing good came of this. This was all terrible. Don't know why you did this. Everybody told you not to do this. This just completely showed how unprofessional you are. And it's just like, oh, well, Punk talked bad about my company, now I'm gonna show some footage that shows that Punk's bad. It's like, you're a child. You're a child who is getting revenge for somebody calling you a name. Grow the fuck up. What is Nasty Plot again? stimulates its brain by thinking bad thoughts. Interesting. Gave up on nasty plot. So yeah, that's that whole thing. The only good thing that did come of that is that after all that they had a way to write Jack Perry back into the story, because they had Jack Perry as the scapegoat. Like, Tony Khan blamed him for getting rid of Punk, and so he had to blame somebody, so Jack Perry's the scapegoat for it. And they finally decided, we're gonna bury the hatchet, and Jack Perry attacked Tony Khan, which was great. And it was like, good, he needed that. Get him off television. Maybe somebody, no, he's still making the decisions backstage, but you know, he's just doing it not on tour with everybody. And we've learned, or it seems that Tony Khan hasn't learned his lesson. So right now, as of this recording, it is June 2nd. So Mercedes Moné just won the TNT Championship at the last pay-per-view that they had, which I think is a very bad decision. Like I said, Tony Khan hasn't learned his lesson. When he signed CM Punk to AEW, within like 3 matches, he gave Punk a title shot that Punk won the championship. Here we are again, Mercedes Moné, who used to be, oh god, what was her name? Hold on, I'm thinking of it. Ha! Your magnitude can't do shit to me. I keep trying to think it's Bianca Belair, but that's not it. That's the boss. What was her name? Sasha Banks. That was her name. Yeah. It's formerly Sasha Banks. Jeez. So, like, Sasha Banks left. Oh, look! Edie's evolving into a Pikachu part. Into Pikith. Pith into Pikith. Alright. Hi, Pikith. Pikith data was added. Oh, interesting. I think that one's actually better. Yeah, I like that one better. You got the Meowth body with the Pikachu tail. Pikith withdraw their sharp claws into their paws, silently sneak about. When it releases pent-up energy in a burst, the electric power is equal to a lightning bolt. Okay. So yeah, Sasha Banks left WWE because of probably more allegation and more things that Vince did, because Vince was terrible. That's what everybody left WWE for the most part, was Vince. But anyways, she went to New Japan for a while, and then Tony Khan convinced her to sign with AEW and kept her around for a month without any sort of match. She hadn't had a single match in AEW, and her very first match, she wins the championship. I don't agree with that. Like, yeah, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her, she's a great star. But to give her the title within the first match that she's had with the company, you're showing that you don't give a shit about your homegrown talent. That people who you have built up, that you have had doing these matches, people like Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Julia Hart was the champion before Mercedes, not Mercedes, before Willow Nightingale won it from her. But you know, those are all homegrown talents. You also have Yeah, well, yeah, I was gonna say you have, but you had Jade Cargill, and you kind of failed with her as well. Now she went over to WWE. And you have stars like, oh, I can't remember the DMD. What's her name? She hasn't been on television in months. That's how poorly you are doing your own fucking talent. Is that one of your main stars, who was, I think, one of the first women's champions, hasn't been on in months for no reason other than you have nothing for her to do, and you want to go push Mercedes Moné instead of your own fucking talent. You're giving all these outsiders title shots instead of giving people who you've built up. Like, oh, you're an existing, like, name that's well known. Let's put the title on you to propel our company forward, instead of putting it on the shoulders of people who've been with you from the start. So, usually I don't have a cynical approach with wrestling. Really, I don't. But I hope that, yet again, this backfires on Tony Khan, and Mercedes does the exact thing, or at least a similar thing, that CM Punk does, and that she leaves for WWE. Because that would just be hilarious. Screech is actually pretty good, so I'm going to get rid of Scratch for Screech. But we are going to switch those moves around for you. Fake out first. There you go. So, that's where we are at. I haven't seen, so like I said, it's June 2nd. I haven't seen anything of wrestling for this past week. What happened. So the last thing I saw was last weekend when Mercedes won the championship. But oh boy, is Tony Khan's decision making just flawed so much. Oh, it's a Douglas. It's just a penis coming out of the ground. Bye bye, Douglas. I don't think I'd ever seen Douglas before. God, that's good though. Oh man. So yeah, that's been wrestling, and WWE's been doing great. They had Roman Reigns finally lose his championship. And the funny thing with that, so Roman Reigns had been champion for like 1,200 days or something like that. It's like, good God, can we have him, if he's going to be champion for that long, and he was held both titles. So each of the two shows, Raw and SmackDown, for those who don't know wrestling, Raw and SmackDown each have a World Heavyweight Champion. You know, the guy who's on top. And Roman Reigns held both of them. But he only appeared on one of the two shows, never appearing on the other show, and only defended once every like 3 months for a pay-per-view. Whereas every other champion defends usually once a month, and if they don't defend it once a month, they get stripped of the title usually, which really sucks. Let's get rid. Nah. Hey, I wonder, does Edie still have? Hey, she still has pickup. That's good. I think once she evolves into Persian, she loses pickup, though. But I think if we use a Thunderstone on her to get Raichu, you know, she'll still be able to have pickup, right? I think. Maybe. I mean, I'm still trying to level her up, so it doesn't matter as much, but... So, yeah... It was just so frustrating that Roman Reigns held the title, and so many people hated Roman Reigns holding both titles. That's why they came up with, hey, we're gonna finally come up with another title for the other ship for Raw, a new World Heavyweight Championship, and we're consolidating those two belts that Roman has into one belt, so he's just the champion, the undisputed champion of this, and the other guy's the World Heavyweight Champion. It's like the WWE undisputed Undisputed Universal Championship, I think, which is another stupid thing that they finally changed back. The Universal Championship was an irritating name, I thought. I always thought that, and once Vince McMahon no longer had a say in things anymore, Triple H changed it all back to the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. Those are your two heavyweight championships. Hey, the Draco, can you please hit him with the Ice Fang? Thank you. So that's that whole thing. I'm curious now, though. Actually, oh, so close. Okay, we don't have any more Ice Fangs, though. Oh crap! Oh crap! Oh crap! Double kick? Hey, double kick still does good. Never mind, we can stay. We can stick around. Double kick works. So it is interesting though that the two wrestling companies kind of use some of the same stories off each other. They both had for a while there a power-hungry executive storyline going on. I mean, AEW still has it going on with the Young Bucks, the EVPs taking over and beating the shit out of everybody and firing people who get in their way and all that stuff. And WWE had that in The Final Boss, The Rock, when The Rock came back, and he's a member of the board of directors, I think, for TKO, and he inserts himself into the thing. But it was actually kind of brilliant the way that happened. See, I told you I had a lot to talk about with wrestling before we get to the YouTube stuff. That was kind of a brilliant move that they had. He had. The executives did not have a brilliant move. The executives have a terrible move. So Punk was supposed to face off against Seth Rollins, I think, at WrestleMania, and Roman was, I guess, supposed... Who knows what the original plan was. What the original plan was, but they had Cody Rhodes, who faced off against Roman last year, fail. And then they had Cody win the Royal Rumble again this year when he won it last year. And when you have somebody win the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row, and he faces off against somebody the first year and he loses, your expectations is that he won the Royal Rumble the second year. He's going to go on and win the championship this time around. He's going to beat the guy that he couldn't beat last year. He took a whole year to get better and do that. But apparently, they were like, yeah, he won the Royal Rumble. And then they're like, but Punk got injured in the Royal Rumble. So let's have... he's not going to be... Punk's not going to be available for WrestleMania. So many other stars that they had were getting injured left and right or having to drop out of WrestleMania. And so, this is WrestleMania 40. It's got to be one of the biggest WrestleManias. So we got to get a big draw. So if we can't have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, that's going to cut down on our sales. It's going to be a big loss for the whole event. So let's make The Rock versus Roman Reigns for the main event. It's like, then what's Cody going to do? Are you going to have Cody face off against Seth? Why would he do that? That doesn't make any sense. He should be facing off against Roman. That finishes his story. But they're like, no, we're going to have Roman versus The Rock. It's like everybody wanted to see Roman versus The Rock, yes, because that would be a great match. But they would rather see Cody finish his story is the thing. And so they had that idea, and it took one live event where people were booing the shit out of that decision and everything, and The Rock goes out in reality, Dwayne The Rock Johnson calls the executives and goes, hey, let's change the story. We're not going to have me versus Roman. Let's have Cody finish the story. Let's turn me heel. Let's turn me a bad guy, make me a bad guy. And have me, as this power-hungry executive sort of thing, wanting to insert myself into the main event and, do that, and they ran with it, and it made a good story. So it just shows that, like, sometimes it takes somebody who knows wrestling. Like, that was the thing, was TKO was like, we need to have a big event to make the main event The Rock versus Roman Reigns. And they're like, no, Rock knows better. Rock could read the signs, could read the room, and see that the fans were not happy with that decision, and change the whole thing. So, yeah, that's been wrestling. It's interesting. I'm a fan of all my wrestling stuff, and I watch it, and I just sometimes feel like the need to complain about some of the stuff that they didn't do. So, the next thing to talk about is YouTube. There's this whole thing. Rooster Teeth is now dead and gone, but a lot of it's, you know, people who were creators within it have stuck around, or not stuck around, but they have picked up doing things on their own, doing things elsewhere. I haven't heard too much yet, but I've watched a couple who found their way out of Rooster Teeth before Rooster Teeth fully closed out. And I mean a couple years before. So it's interesting. I was watching somebody who was playing some of like the Batman games years back, and he was streaming them on Twitch, but you know, he has put the archives of them up on YouTube. And it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting to have that. But he's always talking about, yeah, you can watch them on YouTube and everything. They're the full playthroughs of the Arkham series are up on YouTube without ads, and like, I can't make any money off them. Like, what do you mean? And it's like, because of the fact that they get content claimed and everything, they get content claimed, and therefore you can't monetize them. So he just puts them up there without any sort of monetization, which, you know, that's the content creator, that's the type of content creator that I am, that I strive to be. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to show you guys me playing stuff. I have fun with it. I love doing it. That's fine. I've been doing it for 10 years. I haven't made a single penny off of it. None of my stuff is monetized. And the way that YouTube is structured is just bad. Certain things and certain styles and everything will get you demonetized, will get you without being able to make any money, sort of things like that, without being able to make a living in this industry. I said it some time ago when I was first talking about Rooster Teeth's closure and everything. I was like, you know, I kind of got into YouTube and wanted to be a content creator because I hoped that at some point I would be big enough that I could become a part of Rooster Teeth. Like, Rooster Teeth would be like, hey, you're funny, we like you, come and work for us. Well, that's never gonna happen now, but, you know, I didn't do it just because of that. I did that, you know, they were my inspiration to get started. Double kick it. Ha! So, it's just like, that's why I don't censor myself. I don't give a fuck about what comes out of my mouth.